Doocy.
Hey everyone, Dave here, December 1773. With me as always is Ryan. This is episode 111 of The Weekly Show. All of the week's hottest topics with a twist. This week we are going to be talking about our pens. We have the Queen, we have Jennifer Lawrence, we have Marie Jean-Pierre. Of course, we're going to talk about September 11th and a few other things that we end up talking about. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on my blurry-ass picture. There it is. Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. Always Rumble. That is the free speech alternative to YouTube. Ryan, before we get into it, do you have anything real quick?
First of all, hello as always, David. And yeah, I do actually.
Hello, Governor.
Hello. I finally told my alien story, how I'm a believer.
Correct.
A slight believer. I'm starting to appear on the scale of believing here, the spectrum of believing.
Yeah,
and
but
then,
you haven't quite completed your journey.
Yeah, I have like at least 3 more steps to do.
Mm-hmm.
So a fellow friend and listener, shout out to Mike, he got a hold of me and said, "You saw the Northern Lights, you dumb fuck." So what do I know?
Well, if he wants to be all scientific about it.
You know,
isn't that the perfect time, though? If you're an alien, isn't that the perfect time? Because then people like Mike are like, it's the Northern Lights. It's the UFO, Mike. It's the UFO. And that's how they get you. That's how they get you. That's 4D chess from the aliens.
Yeah. Just like my 4D pen that disappeared on last week's episode. If you can catch it, I'll send you a gift card. Yeah, Dave.
Yeah, let's jump in. Let's jump in over towards the redcoats here. Because there's breaking news out of the UK.
Diana is dead. She died at 4 o'clock this morning.
Oh, shit. Sorry. That was from Princess Diana when the Queen killed her. That was my bad. Let's go to the local videos here. I'm sorry. Let's go to Molester Holt. He's got
Good day, everyone. We're coming on the air with some sad breaking news. Queen Elizabeth II, Britain's longest reigning monarch, has died at the age of 96. The Queen reigned for 7 decades, working with many prime ministers through periods of peace and crisis since she took the throne. Her family rushing to be by her side today after doctors became concerned for her health. Her death comes after the passing of her husband, Prince Philip, last year. And her passing sets the stage for Prince Charles to become king, Britain's first new monarch in 70 years.
Listen, Ryan, I am not going to fawn over the Queen like Ben Shapiro did recently. I will always stick to the theory that we fought the royal family so I didn't have to care about them. What, you said you had something to say about the Queen. I just wanted to mention that she died.
I could turn this into a segment, actually. I didn't... First of all...
you turn it into a segment because I don't feel very good, and I'm going to drink some Brondo because it's got electrolytes, and it's what plants crave.
I seen some shit the other day. They talked about why you got, like... Dave caught COVID. I haven't. We're still talking about it. Anyways. I'm sorry.
It's due to be done in the fall, though, I heard.
Yeah.
The fall is going to be the end of COVID.
It's just the flu. Remember, I sent you that article that said they're just going to say you got to get a yearly vaccine or every X yearly vaccine, you know, twice every 2 years, 3 years for like a flu-style COVID, which is what people said from the very beginning. It would run its way through the population, then turn into a flu. I didn't mean to bring up a...
we totally didn't say that.
I'm sure.
Oh, wait, I think we're allowed to say that now because that might be one of the things YouTube changed. So we can say it on YouTube, I think.
It was literally in the mainstream news. If they can say it and I can't, I don't know what else to tell you. What did Ben Shapiro say about that?
Well, okay. You're going to need to look it up. Everyone can go look it up for themselves. But he had nothing but nice things to say about the Queen. I'm not saying the Queen's the end of the world. I'm not saying the Queen was the worst person in the world or anything, but listen. His take is that it was a symbolic role only. So people who talk shit about the Queen, they're not, it's apples and oranges. Here's what I have to rebut to Ben Shapiro. And I know he's more intelligent than me. In fact, he's probably got a triple-digit IQ lead on me. But the Queen and the royal family is one of the wealthiest families in the world. Just because the Queen is symbolic, you don't think that money is being moved around and used the same way corporations use money here, or same way big money influences our government or other governments. I mean, that's a I'm sorry, but that's a bad take.
Yeah, I guess it's not. I seen he had a podcast about it, and I think the title was along the lines of like why the left is celebrating Queen Elizabeth II's death or something.
Which I don't think they are. I haven't seen it. I mean,
I don't know. I mean, this isn't a knock to Shapiro. I mean, but honestly, you are our golden calf of information, especially here on this podcast. We tell you guys to go to these people because we can trust them. Yeah, but overall, go to Ben Shapiro. You know, I've always said this. Jordan Peterson, PD, Patrick Bet-David. You know, we give you guys sources for a reason because that's the same stuff we consume, but we're more about the common man's politics. Like, how does the Queen dying reflect our life, right? That's basically the premise and why we even talk about it on our show. But I don't know. Maybe it's because Jordan Peterson is signed to the Daily Wire. I don't want to say he opened my eyes in Revelation because, let's be honest, as much as George Washington wanted to be an English monarch, he destroyed the monarchy of England in America. For whatever reason, whether it was a conspiracy reason to just channel power and be able to own slaves forever, or if he really did believe in freedom at the individual and want to empower individualism and believe in fucking the republic and not having
the context is all that matters. I mean, you just got to know what they went through before he said, nope, not doing that. We're not doing kings and queens.
Dave, he let millions of, he just starved, nearly starved. All of his men starved and froze in the woods just for slavery. They just wanted to own black people. That's the only reason. So
and then they fought again to obviously not George Washington, but
yeah, I'm in this train of mind. This is odd though, right? I guess, like I said, I guess this is just going to be a segment. I didn't intend to do this, but like me personally, all monarchs should go, right? But that's me as a first world problem, right? That's me as a Republican Democratic kind of society, Christian, Judeo-Christian ideology, all these other things, these things that we hold true to America and all that stuff. So that could be me looking through the rose-colored glasses at monarchy. Jordan Peterson had a video about monarchies and Queen Elizabeth and what it would signal to the rest of the world. And, he really kind of had he didn't like, that guy just touches me, whatever. I'm super biased for him for obvious reasons. But the way he framed it was that like there was something to be said that the monarchy still existed after all the people collectively, including the king during the Magna Carta years, right? That predates everything, basically, in Western society. It's like the 1400s. The Magna Carta laid the very beginnings of civil liberties, private property rights. Everything that we hold here in America came from England. We are an English colony. It's literally called a colony for a reason, the 13 colony. But that goes for everywhere in the world that England touched. What was the saying? That the sun never sets on England? Mm-hmm. So for me to sit here and just think that all monarchs should go and that monarchies are useless and, we rebelled against them for a reason, I guess there is something to be said that it's not even about power, because it's like that's something I learned when you study ancient conquerors like Alexander the Great and some of these Persian empires. They couldn't just be ruthless people because they couldn't just kill everybody in a village, because the village wouldn't stand, or B, he's going to just go to another place. And then when he comes back, he has mutiny and then he has to contend with, which happened a lot, which almost all the time that happened, which is what it makes it so great that these ancient civilizations were able to live for thousands of years, right? Is because there weren't all these things rife. But if you look why that happened, it was because they adapted customs and they had the people that benefited from the empire had wealth, right? And they had a higher standard of living. They had spices, right? That's in ancient times. It's no different now with England. We're talking Australia, New Zealand, all through Europe, Africa, the Americas.
Well, Australia is slightly different. That's just where they sent all the prisoners.
Canada. We're talking most of the world. The sun never set on England, right? And Jordan Peterson really drilled this point home, and then he talked about the civil liberties, how England was the first one to abolish slavery. Not that would require a king or queen, right? But they did lead it. Like, all of our ideologies come from our ancestors from that area of the world. Once again, civil liberties, republicanism, democracy, libertyism, like libertarianism, all that's from there. Like, the base ideas of everything this country is founded on is there. Once again, we don't need a monarch for it. But the way he broke down that they were able to have a symbolism of power, kind of probably like how Ben Shapiro would describe it. And they are on the same programming. So I'm sure it's a convoluted talking point that Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson would agree on this. But I guess I never really put it in perspective that this woman lived to 96 years old, lived through like 13 or 15 United States presidents, so many prime minister, heads of state, kings and queens, through world wars, through depressions, through the space age, through, you know, the modern renaissance of the cell phone and technology and innovation and like science and technology. She was getting her blood siphoned off from the dead cells of children with their adrenochrome so she would live forever because she's a reptile. All these things that the Queen is great at. It's a super big conspiracy by David Icke. For those who want to go down a funny rabbit hole.
Yeah, just Google Dyke. You'll find it.
Yeah. What? Icke. I said Icke.
You said David Icke.
Yeah.
He goes by Dyke. Just Google Dyke. You'll find it.
Those are a tool, David. So I guess what I'm rambling on about here.
I love a good pair of dykes.
I guess side cutters. I guess like what? I guess I'm impressed with the Queen a little bit. You know, I never really thought about it like that. Like, royalty doesn't matter in America, but it matters everywhere else. It matters in the Iraqi places and the everywhere. I mean, Putin's a fucking king practically. Xi Jinping's a president for life. That's practically royalty.
He was democratically elected, Ryan.
For life, David.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man, you're like sounding pretty bad, dude.
It's pretty rough. So, that's enough on the Queen.
Yeah.
Canada's silly. They have her on the money, and she's dead. And she killed her daughter-in-law. Let's get on to Jennifer Lawrence, because she made all types of news lately. She came out with a comment about her conservative family, how she is trying to make peace with them, but it's just difficult because they don't see things the way she sees them. I agree. Hollywood will do that to you.
These are the people that want me to accept everything, but can't accept me the way I am.
No, they've been very clear about that.
You have to change, but you can't make us change.
Correct.
What?
Because she's got the real information.
Well, we know what's right for everybody.
She also came out and said that she has reoccurring nightmares about Tucker Carlson.
Living rent-free, huh?
Yeah. Tucker Carlson did have a quick thing to say about that.
When you decide to work in television, you lose control of a lot of things, foremost the way other people perceive you. So can it really be your fault? Are you really responsible if major Hollywood starlets dream about you? Maybe it's the sexy glasses. So it's just, she says she has nightmares about us. That's what they're calling it now.
To be fair, I have nightmares about the guy on the
all right, we're flattered. I think it's the sexy glasses. Can't help it if they dream about you.
He is going to drill that sexy glasses point home because he's a fucking dork.
He is a fucking dork.
He's a fucking dork. He probably would never get a wife if he didn't have money.
I do have to say, as I took the side of Amber Heard in the Johnny Depp trial because she's hot, I'm going to take Jennifer Lawrence's side on this because she's hot. I'm for you, Jennifer Lawrence. I get it. I can't stand those conservatives either. They need to adapt to the way everybody else feels.
Maybe her message would spread better if she took some clothes off before she started talking.
Yeah, I'd like to see her message spread better. I do have to say, though, she was in the news yet again for a third thing because she was mad something didn't make as much as Leonardo DiCaprio.
Well, Jennifer Lawrence may have top billing for her new film, Don't Look Up, meaning her name appears first in the credits, but she does not have the top salary.
Reported that Jennifer earned $25 million, which was about $5 million less than DiCaprio, who pulled in $30. Look, Leo brings in more box office than I do. I'm extremely fortunate and happy with my deal. But in other situations, what I have seen, and I'm sure other women in the workforce have seen as well, is that it's extremely uncomfortable to inquire about equal pay. And if you do question something that appears unequal, you're told it's not gender disparity, but they can't tell you what exactly it is.
Yeah, I can relate to that sometimes.
Tell me you're not happy with your job by not telling me you're not happy with your job.
How fucking passive aggressive can you be? That bitch is on television talking like. It's like the definition of passive aggressive. Oh, I can relate to that one. What can you really do? What can you do? You just buy a lower cut shirt and you want to make the same amount of money as me.
We have talked about the gender pay gap on here before, and there's plenty of reasons why the gender pay gap is a total just piece of bullshit. But interestingly enough, she wanted to say it at another point that sometimes you just feel like no matter what you do, you won't make as much as the boys, which is interesting because I didn't have to think about. I still do love the Hunger Games. I mean, it's tremendous series. It's tremendous. It's the best.
The only time I saw Hunger Games was when I was like not paying attention because I was with a female. If you know what I mean.
Yeah,
they're great movies. I don't
not pay attention, but you were thinking about the old Jennifer Lawrence. I bet.
Definitely only paying attention to those parts.
But interestingly enough, I did look it up because I thought, well, that's kind of odd. Yeah,
$160 million, huh?
Yeah, with all three.
Even Google says she did well for herself.
It's crazy.
Those people that fact check the pay gap fucking myths. It's always funny to me about these Hollywood celebrities, especially the females, when they talk about this pay gap thing, is that they always take themselves. This is the highest paid woman actress in 2021, correct? Was that statistic or whatever it was? Or she was
the highest paid in the Hunger Games series.
Okay. $160 million paid in the Hunger Games series alone. We'll just look at that as a metric because considering she's saying that it only mattered to her, at least on this one movie, that she wanted to come first in credits and make more than Leonardo DiCaprio, which is also a separate issue here. But it's always funny to me that these women, since they're in these positions of power and they think they have authority that they've never... Women don't gain authority by respect. They mostly get it by their beauty. I'm sorry. Man trusts a beautiful woman way more than an ugly one. You know, and I'm a girl dad, and I'll tell my daughter that. You know, like I get shamed for some of my views on masculinity. But this is why it's so important to stand. You know what I mean? Because, look, she is standing on her position, making all of this money, and then relates it to the common woman that I'm sure most women in most positions, in most things, you paint a straw man. You paint this invisible argument to prop up your argument to make it better, to make it seem like.
How would she even know though? Because just like she was attacking her family because they don't see her side of things. You're going to tell me that she has any idea of reality right now.
Yeah, and I'm sure her conservative family tell her that the pay gap is literally a myth. When she makes more money from one movie than anybody else will make in their fucking lifetime in the history of all of global humanity.
Yeah, and I don't want to take anything away from her either. I think she should. She's very good.
I want to applaud these people, but they're retarded with statements like this. This isn't even factual. And when you get a fact check, it's an opinion from a third-party company. So how can I trust that guy?
It's not even like she got paid less than Jonah Hill. Like she got paid less than Leo. Like he's, my opinion, I don't like the guy, but he's like one of the greatest actors of all time. Like he's tremendous.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that's actually like what is more important here. Because for these movies, for dumb bitches like Jennifer Lawrence in the audience, they only have so much money to make a fucking movie. And they can't just smoke it away on cast. Do you really think that like a B movie is a B movie because they like don't have the actors? No, they don't have the budget to get the freaking actor. If they have to pay Leonardo DiCaprio $370 million because you know what? He's going to get people there they're not going to have less money for other actors, which is why, for those who don't know about movies, when they have those big long screens that's like this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy, you're like, holy shit. There's 11 of the greatest actors that have ever walked the earth in one movie. That never happens. Why, David? Because all those guys are worth hundreds of millions of fucking dollars because they're the greatest thing ever, and they should deserve to make the fucking money. But if
there is a movie coming out like that. Just saw a commercial for it, watching some NFL games. I don't remember what it was.
If we give all the money...
Loads of grade A actors, though. Like, incredible.
The amount of contract signing that has to have... And another thing, it's scheduling. This has happened with some of movies I've wanted to see made and stuff, that certain actors can't be in certain movies because they're filming two movies, trying to film two movies at the same time. For people who don't know, Leonardo DiCaprio only films one movie at a time because he wants to invest. Literally, he's a method actor. So he'll live the life of the character he's playing. He's not Leo. He's whatever character, which translates on fucking screen. Look at this Jordan Belfort or any of the other ones. The racist guy from Django Unchained is another prime. I was in the wilderness in The Revenant. Did Jennifer Lawrence go fucking sleep in a goddamn elk, Dave? No, she didn't. She's mad about pooping in porta potties on site or something, I'm sure. You know, and this isn't to attack her. I highly doubt
she has to do that.
This isn't to attack her. She's a great actor. I just, like, if you're gonna be ridiculous, I'm gonna be equally ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, Leonardo DiCaprio is better. That's why he makes more money. That's why he'll make all of the money. Always. For all time. If you probably look at the actors with the most movies sold or watched or whatever, Leonardo DiCaprio is in that list. She's not. Morgan Freeman's probably up there. Jack Nicholson. Samuel L. Jackson. That's the Robert De Niro. George Clooney. Some of the James Bonds. Like, that's what we're talking about. Not fucking a bow and arrow shooting dime.
Well,
you got that role because you're hot. That's it.
And she is.
You'll take your 160, buy plastic surgery so you stay hot, so I don't have to hear about you getting groped in 50 years.
Maybe she will...
She's upset she wasn't picked for Barbie because Margot Robbie's way hotter.
Maybe Jennifer Lawrence will star in one of the Bonds as female Bond.
I swear to God.
Or maybe she'll be female Orwell. Who knows?
Orwellia?
Speaking of females, Greenie Jean-Pierre is back at it. If I misgendered you, I apologize. But well, I guess it could go either way. You don't necessarily look like a woman.
Did she say what she was wearing?
No, she's not as factual. She really just dodges things. And speaking of dodging things, Peter Doocy, hope it's Doocy. If it's Dookie, that's unfortunate. He stumbled upon, he did what was called journalism, Ryan.
You tweeted in 2016 Trump stole an election.
I was waiting, Peter, when you were going to ask me that question.
Well, great. Here we go. You tweeted Trump stole an election. You tweeted Brian Kemp stole an election. If denying election results is extreme now, why was it then?
let's be really clear. That comparison that you made is just ridiculous. I have been. Well, you're asking me a question. Yes. Let me answer it.
And you said it was ridiculous.
I was talking specifically at that time of what was happening with voting rights and what was in danger of voting rights. That's what I was speaking to at the time.
I'll be done in 15 minutes.
Oh. It's ridiculous, Ryan. That comparison is ridiculous. It's apples and dykes. It's not even the same thing, Ryan.
You know what's crazy? I knew you were going to ask me this, and then I'm not going to let you ask me the question.
I knew this was coming. What?
How'd you know?
What do you mean? If it's not the same thing, how did you know it was coming?
Oh, so you had time to prep for this question and still fucking lied.
No, she didn't lie. Her opinion was that it's not the same thing. And the question was ridiculous. So I'm not going to answer it. They're different, Ryan. She was talking about elections not being legitimate, not elections not being legitimate. Totally different things.
Dave, how old were you when you first heard this question? There is no such thing as a dumb question.
Oh, God. It had to have been like kindergarten or first grade, right? Isn't it like one of the first things you learn?
Sticks and stones, and there's no such thing as a dumb question.
Yeah, but there is such a thing as a ridiculous question, Ryan. That was a ridiculous question.
A ridiculous question doesn't mean it doesn't need to be asked or answered. Do people
also, not ridiculous?
I've read one history book in totality in my entire life with all the YouTube I've seen, and I know more about this than most people. Have no one paid attention to what happens? This isn't just something you see. This is a repeated train of abuses, a certain programming. It's like an echelon of people have this message, and they talk around very articulate lines that are perfectly crafted. Knowing questions are coming before they're asked, because once again, these people collect all my data, so they know everything I've ever said about everything on the internet, so I can't get a firearm. But when it's transposed and flipped on them, they can just skirt accountability. And because the very people that vote for them are such weak people, those people themselves can't even be held accountable because all they do is play a victim. Okay? So the victim mindseted people, also known as, what would Rush Limbaugh call these guys? Welfare recipients, right? Like the welfare state people that are just always going to blame the victim mentality. As long as they keep getting handouts, they'll keep voting for these people, but they can lie to you. And it's like sheeps to the slaughter. And then they can censor us when we ask them real questions. They can censor us if you release information that is not, verified by their people. But we're a free country, right? I'm told that on 9/11, remember, never forget. We'll get to that, but everybody forgot. Everybody. The fucking 911 is the phone number you call for help. And we forgot that thing. We forgot 9/11. You can put it on police cars and buy bumper stickers and rainbows. It doesn't matter. You censor everybody you don't agree with. And then if I ask a question, I'm told it's ridiculous, when all I'm trying to do is get information to live my life. I'm just trying to go to work, Mike said it this week to me. He had the greatest thing ever. He said, America is filled with such a large population of people that their only invested interest is wanting to be left alone. That's it. Nope, that's a ridiculous question. Next time your boss asks you something, just tell them that, see what happens. How come it's any different? These people work for me. I don't work for them. I'm not subservient to them. They, by default, there's certain things they can't tell me what to do. Their sole job is actually to protect that thing. Their only job is to protect me from them. That's government's only job. And from other people. That's a ridiculous question. What?
It's ridiculous, Ryan.
That's ridiculous. Questioning anything is ridiculous. You know what this reminds me of? This is why I didn't do good in school, because I cared so much about what people thought about me that my reputation was more important than me actually learning something and bettering myself. I never wanted to be smart. I never thought it would be cool. And this reminds me of exactly when I was in school, that even if I knew the answer or if I wanted to like it, or I just didn't care. Nobody is willing to stand up to these people. They call it tall poppy syndrome in England. And it's also known in Japan and stuff that the nail that sticks up gets hit first, right? We're falling into this mentality here, this herd mentality that we can't ask questions because they're ridiculous. And we need to censor because I don't like the things you say. But we're a private company. But that private company is seen by literally everybody in America.
The real question, Ryan, is KGP going to be removed from Twitter?
Probably not. These people selectively enforce it. Also, to go further, how's a private company if they talk to the government about certain talking points? We've discussed this on this program, but we're seeing the same exact thing because this woman uses those services, right? Censors people she don't agree with, and then when we question her on her rhetoric, because she'll never get censored, right? She's not going to get censored by Twitter. No. She's not going to get repercussions. Dave and I have been flagged. Dave and I are trying to do something cool. Literally something artistic for fun, a hobby, education, all these awesome things that I think him and I provide. They've literally taken it off the internet. But this chick in government with a fucking blue check mark that's so special can do this? What do we... It's a ridiculous question. It's going to sound awfully ridiculous when we got, you know, marches in Washington, and they're probably armed rallies, because the people I know aren't going to keep going to work tomorrow when we're seeing you do exactly what every tyrant has ever done in all of human history.
And what we said last week was, if not agreeing with half the country is extremist, what's it going to look like when the shoe's on the underfoot? This is a preview of what it's going to look like. It's ridiculous. They just won't address it. It's ridiculous.
And with her train of mind, wouldn't you say her statements based when they weren't in power or whatever, and these very particular tweets are bringing up, isn't that the extreme behavior in that instant because you're not agreeing with the majority of Americans? And what's a majority anyways if we can't even prove anything on the internet's correct? If half the Twitter bots, if there's Twitter bots and this bots, those polls are skewed at bare minimum based on certain ideologies, based on what channel. How many of them are fake people? I seen this. I meant to bring this up. Speaking of fake people, I'm going to hijack this one. I don't know the dude's name, but Columbia Records, I think, Joe Budden talked about this on his podcast. They signed a fucking artificial intelligence artist. He's all digital, not real. There may be musicians behind the scene, right, making the notes, or that's not algorithm based yet, but he's a fucking robot. They don't need us. And I thought, if they're going to do that with a musician, what else they going to do with David? The news anchor, the judge, the police officer, the senator. Oh, I know. This AI knows every bill ever written. He'll know if it's fucking legal or not. Just sign the AI bill. The president, is the president just good? It's too big for one person to understand. We got to put it in a computer. I'm sure they'll bat the political talking point. There'll be no Freudian slip. There'll be no loose lips information. You know, that's another funny thing. I don't want to go into a crazy wormhole and go in roundabouts here, but I'm here, man. The FBI said, they came out publicly and said this was the most tight-lipped organization. Nobody knew about it. The president didn't know about it. But every fucking media thing has every document that Trump ever had in Mar-a-Lago, though. But you didn't know. You didn't even know the raid's going on, but you know what they raided. Extremist behavior, though, right, David? This is extreme.
That sounds extremist. That sounds terroristic, Ryan.
It does. The government is a terrorist organization and extremist, David. You're right.
No. You got it backwards. No. You're the terrorist, Ryan. You're the terrorist. Look, and how fitting, Ryan. How fitting on September 11th.
Yeah. If you're not with us, you're with them. If you're not with us, you're the enemy. I will rally the power of the federal government. You will not sleep. We will sign bills labeled patriotism and steal your patriotism. The very thing. Remember when I would always talk about getting spied on and nobody cared, and now they're using the very information to sell you Coca-Cola and fucking shit on Facebook ads? And then they use it to censor you so you don't get real information on the internet? Wow, that's really weird, David.
Well, that's definitely the more atrocious.
You know what this brings up? Does Facebook have access to the records? Can they go to the NSA? Is Facebook the fucking NSA?
They got to be related.
They said I'm the extremist when they're the ones doing the extremists. They can put the founding fathers in any kind of Homeland Security documents they want, say they were terrorists and all this. They go ahead. You can label me, my friends, my family, David. They go ahead. Just telling us we're doing the right thing. Our government is so off the rails. I cannot believe this woman is not only employed by the government, but that we even have this position anymore. We have a ministry of truth. We've seen it. I told you guys, nobody knows what Orwell means anymore, and we're seeing it. We literally just seen it. 9/11, never forget. The people that are voting right now weren't even alive when 9/11 happened. How can they remember something they never experienced? And then when I tell them about it, it's censored. When I tell them about it...
They won't remember it in the same way that we did.
Oh, yeah, times were different. Culture was different. What, we were Americans? We believed in due process? We forgot all that. We abandoned that for terrorism. We were scared. They labeled terrorism, labeled your name. Do you remember anthrax in the fucking mailboxes, David? I do. I remember hearing when I was in middle school that we'd be out of Iraq at this date. And then it turned into this date. And then it was when I graduate. And then we see the pullout under the Joe Biden administration. People falling off of airplanes. Never forget, right? Let's not forget Flight 93. That's what we shouldn't forget. A bunch of people seeing their country, seeing an airplane going to destroy something, going to hurt fellow Americans. So they're like, nah. Let's remember Flight 93, Mr. Government, Mr. President. Why don't we remember that when Americans are willing to risk everything for a better tomorrow? Without a government. They didn't do that for their government. They did that for their fucking civilian. Those firemen that were going back into buildings that were burned to ashes. They didn't do that for the government. They didn't do that for a paycheck. I'll never shave my head again. You know why? I had another police encounter this week, David. I know I look like do I look like a kid toucher or something? Do I look like a criminal?
A little bit.
Do I look like a criminal? What are you, retard? Use your brain. Use your brain. Treat me like a piece of shit. The thin blue line is my patience. It's not the police protecting me from politicians when it's clear that all these police will protect all those politicians.
Just following orders.
They need health insurance. Oh, DWI, Checkpoint Lancaster. Oh, was this public knowledge? Oh, no, we didn't know about it until this morning. Oh, really? But you hold fucking drills at the mall at 1 in the morning in the middle of the night, though. No, Darian, it's not a soft target. We just hold drills there. Oh, we're just following orders now. Oh, we're just loading guns now. Oh, we're just shooting civilians now. That's weird how quick that line disappears. That thin blue line, right, David? That thin blue line is not the police people. It's our patience, not theirs. It's mine. Because I don't have to listen to that guy if he's breaking the law. That's been proven in the Supreme Court documents. Tupac got away with shooting cops because they were off trying to hurt people. That's a great example of a black guy with a gun. That's a crazy, extreme example. I'll feel mighty confident going down to that police station after he body slams me and breaks every bone in my body. That guy will get unequivocal. He'll be the whole back to blue. I'm going to back the very people that are going to go door to door and ask me about firearms. Really? Thin blue line, huh? You're protecting me? Oh, we're just following orders. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. On 9/11, never forget it. Never forget that your government allowed terrorist organizations to hijack an airplane and fly it into buildings to steal your civil liberties so that they had the precursor of war so that they could wage endless debt on our future generations. And you know what's funny? Right after 9/11, rather, was the Great Recession, the greatest economic downturn in the history of America and the largest transfer of wealth ever in human fucking history. Halliburton, all these military contractors got trillions of our US dollars to stay there, training Iraqis that just, we trained the Iraqi army and they couldn't make it. None of these guys are lasting. I don't know why they can't defend themselves. On the same news that isn't bought out now, journalism, I'm sure it was perfect then, right, David? It wasn't owned by 5 media organizations at the very tip top. Because CNN and Fox News have changed owners a whole bunch of times since then. And then fast forward, I get a black president that just says hope and change a fucking bunch, puts his face on a fucking bumper sticker and goes, and he says he's just going to be there for all the black people when really he wasn't. Black unemployment grew, the amount of people on food stamps that were black, the amount of incarcerated black people. He never set black people free like he would. It wasn't until the Trump administration some of them things manifested. And then the very Democrats said it was Obama's policies 10 years later.
Yeah, they finally kicked in.
I got to sit here watch these people lie. Hillary Clinton can't even write my 5th grade class and give me a fucking recipe book. But I'm supposed to believe that this bitch is going to run the country good. That's a true story. I'll get there. But these people know exactly what they're doing. They allowed 9/11 to happen to hijack our civil liberties and shove this shit down my throat so that we could have the very police state today that is going to be here so that they can have control over the rest of all of global humanity. Decembertainment this week is the motherfucking Bills.
Oh, yeah.
Josh Allen's the greatest quarterback in the history of quarterbacks. And this is why I say that. Okay. I don't know of our audience. This is a mixed, we're in the political space and we're mixing sports, which it's kind of kinky. But I spent time this week. I told you guys that I've been getting into the sports commentator, and then like the Aaron Rodgers thing last week, you see the politics behind it. And then you see the Rams and Bills game coverage before, during, and after, right? These people pick. And I always thought it was funny because everybody was defending the Rams instead of just admitting that the Buffalo Bills are so fucking good. Okay. I was having this conversation with a buddy of mine yesterday. Tom Brady is the perfect quarterback, right? Tom Brady, they basically came to him and said, here's the Bible of quarterbacks. This is what a good quarterback does here. And Tom Brady has nailed that, made him the GOAT. Josh Allen is the evolution of an entire genre of football. He's literally changing every position. That picture of him stiff-arming looks like a fucking tight end. And that guy throws a football 70 yards accurately on the run with one hand, with his feet off the ground. Name me one play in that entire game that Tom Brady could do other than just throwing. Because you can't. You can't. You can't do that with Aaron Rodgers either. You can't. Aaron Rodgers never stiff-armed a guy like that and jumped over and leapt over like fucking Space Jam to score 7 points, 6 points. Never. Never. If your quarterback is changing the entire way everybody else plays football, he's beyond the GOAT. He's literally making like a whole new style of the rest of the football league at a professional level. And he's like 26. Imagine if he plays till 45 like Tom Brady.
No way.
Definitely.
I don't think he can. Tom Brady didn't take shots like Allen takes. His body will. Dude, his body is going to get sore.
Tom Brady's not 6'5", 250 pounds, David.
True. That's true. But he's pretty big too.
He's not 6'5", 250 pounds, David.
No, he's every bit of 6'4" and 230 maybe. He's pretty big dude.
I bet you Tom Brady is 6'2", like a $190.
No.
220.
No. Hold on. You're gonna be shocked when you hear this. Granted, and he's not remotely as athletic.
I'm just saying, there's plenty of people. There's been 20-year running backs. Running backs get hit on every single play. Every play they're. Every player.
Frank Gore and
Frank, yeah. Like so why wouldn't a quarterback longevity through it when we have stem cell treatments and apparently ayahuasca cures everything? So have him and Rodgers hang out a couple times on off season, and Allen will be back like fucking the school bus driver from The Simpsons throwing footballs, dude.
He's 6'4", 225 for the record.
Brady.
He's a sizable guy.
Yeah, and Josh Allen would bulldoze that dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do we talk? It's just crazy, man. Like, obviously the Bills like wrecked. Like, obviously the game would have been 50-0 if they didn't have 4 turnovers. Like, literally, they would have never scored if they didn't turn over. Like, that never happens. I don't care if it's the first game of the season. Nobody played in pre. I don't care. Dude, these are the greatest athletes in the history of humanity. Even if they eat Cheetos all day, they're still better than everybody that's ever lived ever. Like, physically, like, nutritionally. Everything's dialed in down to like the 10th of a milligram. Like, come on, what are we talking about? Why are we defending these people losing? Like, it's just don't. I know why. This is right. The optics is Buffalo's a shitty city and don't come here, and which I'm fine with. But it's just like, I don't care about national recognition for my city. But it's like, dude, you obviously can see the gap of talent. Ramsey, right, the greatest fucking corner ever. Stephon Diggs makes literally incredible plays on this dude with Josh Allen's help. But like Diggs and all of his footwork, what are we talking about, dude? These are the greatest athletes ever. Josh Allen's his greatest athlete, one of the greatest athletes of all of human history. You don't change like a game that has been changed by other people in such a way. It's not like he's like, oh, like Joe Montana when he got all the... No, the dude is changing the way coaches get players, how general managers scout for players. Literally changing the game. That's like once in a lifetime. That's more than GOAT status. Josh Allen, greatest quarterback ever.
We were both correct on our predictions as far as the final outcome goes. Monday night in Buffalo, the Titans will face off against the Bills. Not tonight if you're watching this on Monday. Next Monday. That's the next Bills game.
Yeah, it's going to be Bills by $1 billion. I'm so done. I'm not even going to play the short game. I don't even care. I bet you if you were to look at the season, at the end of the season, it will be the same thing as last year. Bills will have the highest point differential in all of the NFL, except they'll be Super Bowl champions. I'm going all. You don't get shit like that. I have another Decembertainment here before we get out of here, everybody. It is nothing I've consumed. It's just things I've heard, which may be the best form of Decembertainment. Because I think what entertainment does greatly is it unites us, right? All these different people, you all come together, and then you find the things that separate you, and you hate each other again. But like you'll get together to watch Harry Potter, but you can't talk about your favorite presidents. It's funny. But that fucking Slytherin class. But so there's 2 fantasy shows right now on television. They're on streaming services, HBO and Amazon Prime. One being House of Dragons, which is the Game of Thrones series, and then Rings of Power, which is a Amazon spinoff of Lord of the Rings. Now, I have not watched either of these shows.
Oh. But I was hoping you were going to say.
I have heard this from multiple people. House of Dragons sucks. Minus 2 actors, and they're carrying the show on their back, like Josh Allen.
Is it Jennifer Lawrence?
And I've heard in retrospect that Rings of Power is actually pretty good. So, I don't know. I plan on consuming them. I've been busy, me personally, myself. David, I will be talking to you about some of that, actually. I got an idea.
Oh.
But until then, I like the ideas that you guys listen to me and Dave tonight, Ryan. Dave, December 1773. Like, comment, subscribe. Stay locked to the channel. Mondays at 7 Eastern, we drop our podcast. YouTube, Rumble, Facebook. Appreciate you guys if you made it to the end. The most, as always. David, thank you for your time. I'll catch you guys at the premiere. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope to be a little better next week.
Sickly Dave.
It's either that or I'll be dead and I'll be buried by the Queen.
Man, don't do that. I can't do all this editing alone, bro.
That's not bad.
So you say. Dude, I can't even get my fucking laptop's battery to stay charged.
Just have to hire somebody, Ryan.
With what revenue?
YouTube.
But they censor me.
Well,
they don't allow me to get the audience to hire somebody to have better content.
We do have that Rumble cash flow, though.
75 cents.
That's why you need to watch this on Rumble. We got Rumble cash flow. We're gonna cash it in on an editor for Ryan after I die. Thanks, everybody. I should have followed the pen a while ago. I like the pen.
What you have to do is get like a specific Dave pen, though, like one that's like black ivory or like the same.
Are you ready to see what this is?
It's a basil pen, ain't it? It's
a basil pen all day. Oh, you can't see it though. Yeah, it's basil pen.
I could just tell. I missed the.
They did have good ones. These weren't the good ones, though.
No, the circle's not. The pyramid triangle ones.
Those were
ergonomic to your hand.
Yeah, those were the ones. These days, I find myself using a G2 by Bic.
Great. Oh, no. Sharpie.
The Sharpie's good, too. The Sharpie's... The thing that's nice about the Sharpie is it doesn't streak as much as the G2.
Well, they got it down with the blend of permanent marker to pen, David.
Yeah, but I still like a G2. It goes on wet. I like it. I like it wet.
Opposed to dry, I had to use G2s at a job I worked at, and we could only use the blue. It was the only pen I was allowed to use.
See, you got to get the 0.7 too. You go the 1.0, it's too thick.
I think we used 0.5.
The thicker it gets, the wetter it gets.
Does that have a weight limit?
Hey everyone, Dave here, December 1773. With me as always is